Have you ever dealt with someone who never says sorry? No matter how wrong they are, they'll twist the situation, blame you, or just go silent. In a world where apologies should be simple, these people act like the words, I'm sorry, don't exist. But psychology says this behavior isn't just stubbornness, it actually reveals something deep about how their mind protects itself. Let's break down the real psychology behind people who never apologize. One, they fear losing control. Psychologists say people who refuse to apologize often have what's called a fragile ego structure. That means their self-worth feels unstable. So admitting fault feels like losing power. They're not trying to hurt you. They're protecting themselves from feeling weak or vulnerable. While most people see apologies as strength, they see them as surrender. And that's a defense mechanism their mind built years ago. Two, they confuse shame with guilt. Research on moral emotions shows that people who don't apologize struggle to separate healthy guilt from toxic shame. Guilt says, I made a mistake. Shame says, I am a mistake. So when they mess up, their brain doesn't just register the error, it attacks their entire identity. To avoid that crushing feeling, they deny, deflect, or disappear. They're not heartless, they're emotionally overwhelmed. Three, they learned apologies equal weakness. Many of them grew up in homes where saying sorry was used against them or seen as losing. This comes from early attachment patterns where vulnerability wasn't safe. They don't apologize now because their younger self learned that admitting fault invites punishment, mockery, or rejection. They're stuck in a survival mode that no longer serves them, but it's all they know. Four, they rewrite reality to protect their self-image. People who avoid apologies often use cognitive dissonance. That's when their actions conflict with how they see themselves. So their brain rewrites the story. If they see themselves as good, fair, or right, then admitting wrongdoing shatters that image. So instead, they convince themselves you're too sensitive, you misunderstood, or it wasn't that bad. What looks like arrogance is actually mental self-preservation. Five, they lack emotional vocabulary or they're deeply insecure. Some people don't apologize because they genuinely don't know how. They never developed the emotional intelligence to name what they feel, take accountability, or repair connection. Others are so insecure that any criticism feels like total rejection. Psychologists call this rejection sensitivity. One mistake doesn't just feel bad to them, it feels like proof they're unlovable. So they avoid apologies to avoid that pain. So next time you meet someone who never says sorry, don't assume they're just selfish or cold. They might be carrying shame they can't process, fear they can't name, or wounds they never healed. They don't refuse to apologize because they don't care. They refuse because somewhere deep inside they're protecting a version of themselves that feels too broken to admit fault, and that's not pride. That's pain. If you love understanding why people act the way they do, hit subscribe now. Because on this channel, we don't just judge behavior, we decode the psychology behind it.